This video will help you familiarize yourself with the Webasto Thermotest software. We'll concentrate on version 3.8 in this video. Look for the accompanying video covering version 2.16 as well. This video is not an exhaustive feature-by-feature guide, but is meant to be used in conjunction with the published operating instructions found on our technical website, www.techwebasto.com. After discussing how to connect the Webasto Thermotest software and hardware, we'll cover the different items available in each menu selection, the various views available, and some of the more advanced functions. In order to connect to a Webasto heater, you'll first need to download and install the PC diagnostic software from techwebasto.com. After downloading the software, the zip file must be extracted or unzipped to your hard drive before installing the program. You'll also need to have a port converter to allow your PC to talk to the WBus network in the heater. We'll call this port converter the diagnostic interface in this video. This can be ordered through any authorized Webasto dealer. And finally, you'll need an adapter to interface with the heater you're working on. You can find this part number in the service parts list for each heater model. You'll also find a multi-adapter that allows you to connect to any PC Diagnostics capable heater with just one part number. If you have a heater equipped with the SmartTemp 3.0 timer, you'll need to unplug the SmartTemp in order to clear the communication bus for the Webasto Thermotest program. Connect the PC Diagnostic interface to the heater, the computer, and the vehicle's battery. When you connect the diagnostic interface to battery power, you will see the UBAT light illuminate. The power for the PC Diagnostics must be taken from the same power supply that the heater is using. After the diagnostic interface is connected, it's time to open the software. One note on the connection before we begin. After opening the Webasto Thermotest software, you will select the heater model you're working on. WBus 4.0 and newer versions on the right, versions 3.5 and older on the left. Newer versions will open Webasto Thermotest version 3.8 or newer. Older WBus versions will open Webasto Thermotest version 2.16. If you have connection issues between the Webasto Thermotest software and your PC, we do have a manual driver download available. All virus scan software must be disabled, and you will need admin access to your PC to install the driver. Now that Webasto Thermotest is open, you're ready to go. Click on the Start Diagnosis shortcut. When communication starts, you'll see a progress bar on the screen, and you'll also notice that the TX and RX lights on the diagnostic interface flash, slowly at first while communication is being attempted, then very rapidly when communication is established. When communication is established fully, the program will be ready to use. Let's go look at the functionality now. Now that we have version 3.8 of the Webasto Thermotest software open, we'll look at the different tabs and options we have for diagnosing the heater. You'll notice that before the diagnosis is started, the Devices tab is active. This allows us to see, and in some cases manipulate, some parameters of a few of the controlled devices. This feature is seldom used in North America as it is not available for the SmartTemp controllers. We'll start with the tabs and shortcuts along the top. The Diagnosis tab is divided into 5 areas. In order to activate many of the functions of the Diagnosis tab, we'll first start Diagnosis. The Heater Diagnosis section allows you to start and stop diagnosis and to create a customer report, also known as a diagnostic report. In the control portion, you can turn the heater off and on and activate the different heating modes that are available on the heater model you are connected to. The adjustment portion allows you to do a component test, fuel priming function, and a fuel pump test, as well as adjusting the CO2 output of the heater. The difference between the fuel priming and fuel pump test features is that the fuel pump test feature gives the user additional information that allows them to test the output of the pump, while the fuel priming function is used to purge air from the fuel line. The faults section shows a counter indicating how many currently active faults are in the heater control unit. We currently do not have a fuel pump connected to the heater, so for testing purposes, we are going to select the fuel priming function, and you'll notice the fault counter shows 2 faults and turns red. In this case, when the fuel pump is no longer called on, the fault counter resets to 0. The Extras tab is broken up into 4 sections. The WTT Session section allows you to save a current session or open and view a previously saved session. The Interface Selection section has a drop-down that will allow you to select from the COM ports on your computer if necessary. Below that is the Heater Selection drop-down that currently is not used. The Miscellaneous section has a slider control that will start and stop the measurement protocol feature. This is where you can view and change various options and settings related to the Webasto Thermotest software as well. The Updater section is where you can check to see if you have the latest version of Webasto Thermotest diagnostic software installed on your computer. The View tab is divided into 2 sections. The Windows section allows you to choose between various diagnostic views. The Overview window is a visual representation of the most important operating parameters of the heater, shown as bar graphs with the currently measured value shown numerically as well. Along the bottom of the window, you will see the most important input and output signals shown as indicator lights. These indicator lights do not indicate that a component is functioning, simply that the request has been made for that component to function. The Operational Information window shows operating data and parameters, such as serial number, version number, etc. The Protocol window is a feature-rich window that allows the user to interface with the measurement protocol. Be sure to refer to the operating instruction manual for more information. The fault list shows the last 5 faults recorded in the control unit, along with the details of heater operation at the time of that fault. From this view, you can clear faults as well as remove the heater from a lockout condition. The trend graphic is a useful tool that we'll get into in a little bit more detail shortly. From the Windows section, you can also arrange the windows that you're viewing into a few selected views or restore the default view. The Language tab allows you to change the language for the Thermotest software user interface. In the final 4 segments of this video, we'll go over saving a customer report, the trend graphic, the protocol file, and the CO2 adjustment. The summary is a snapshot of the heater's internal information at that point in time. It's highly recommended to save a report upon arrival before the heater is even switched on. To create a summary, the heater does not have to be switched on, it only needs to be connected to 12 volts and to the diagnostic interface, which can then be saved. Let's see what information is contained in this report. The top portion is the device information, things like the serial number. The middle portion is a breakdown of the working and operating hours found in the operating data section. In this case, the heater has spent about half its time running at part load with less than 10% at full load, which is less than ideal. Below the operating data, you'll find up to 5 fault codes that are stored with the description of each code and the pertinent data that was occurring at the time that fault was set. If your heater is equipped with the optional SmartTemp 3.0 digital timer with Bluetooth functionality, you can view and even export a customer report right from the accompanying SmartTemp 3.0 mobile app. From the home screen, tap on the diagnostic icon. From the diagnostic screen, tap on Start Diagnosis to start reading the diagnostic information available for that model heater. At this point, tap the Customer Report icon to view the diagnostic report. The customer report is ready to view, but you'll notice the green progress bar and the message at the bottom of the screen indicates that the report is not yet ready for export. This is the same diagnostic report available through the Thermotest software. Tapping this icon allows you to export the customer report via the various methods available to your mobile device. The actual values graph is a customizable, real-time representation of what the heater is doing. In this case, the heater is already in an on state when the graph was started, but that does not have to be the case. The area at the far left of the window allows you to select and deselect which measurements you want to see on the screen. This can really help to make the graph easier to read or only show you the information that you want to see. If you hover your cursor over any point in the graph, you'll see the value that's represented where the crosshairs are located. This allows you to see precisely the value at any point on any of the lines. As time passes, The color-coded line graphs for each function moves left to right to represent time, and up or down to represent the value for that specific component, for example, RPM, resistance, frequency, etc. The column at the right shows the range of the value that's being measured for that particular component or that particular colored line. This is a very useful tool for seeing what's happening while the heater's running and to catch potential small interruptions in operation. The Measurements feature, found on the Extras tab, is a data logging function and is particularly useful for intermittent issues when you simply can't babysit the heater for hours waiting for that something to happen. When you click on the Options and Settings icon, you have access to numerous settings related to where the file is stored, how it's saved, and how often the snapshot is taken. And this snapshot includes all of the sensors, all the actuators, everything that's going on inside of that heater. Simply start the measurement and leave the heater running. To stop the measurement, simply click on the green box that has the running timer. The file output will be a rather large .txt file or a text file, but this can be copied and pasted into an Excel spreadsheet, which makes it much easier to view. Once in Excel, the columns can be manipulated, hidden, or deleted as needed. Now you can simply look through the data collected and look for the issue. Maybe there's an intermittent open that shuts the heater off or a sensor that isn't quite acting right. The measurement feature allows you to capture all this data and lay it out right in front of you so you can examine it thoroughly. As you can see, this can be a very useful tool for diagnosing those tough issues. Before we get into how to adjust the heater's CO2 output, it's a good idea to cover a few basics before we get started. First, in order to adjust the CO2 output of a heater, you must use an exhaust gas analyzer. And second, the CO2 has been set at the factory to work within the specifications outlined in our literature. The CO2 needs to be checked and possibly adjusted after any components have been replaced during service, as an example, the combustion air fan or the control module. Now let's get to it. This procedure covers the air-top line of heaters and is offered as an example. Please consult the service manual for the model of heater you're working on for the specifics, as well as the target CO2 specification. The rheostat control dial can be used in conjunction with a calibrated exhaust gas analyzer to adjust the CO2 output. With the control dial in the off position, ground the brown wire on the X15 connector. Turn the heater on to the 12 o'clock position. A flashing indicator light lets you know that the heater is ready for adjustment. Turn the knob in small increments, waiting a few minutes between adjustments. Observe the CO2 reading. Make more small adjustments as needed. Be sure to wait a few moments after you make an adjustment for the heater to stabilize. When the reading on your CO2 meter is stabilized, you can make more adjustments. When the CO2 is in the desired range, simply disconnect the brown wire from ground. This saves the setting. Before we get into the software though, a note about the SmartTemp 3.0 and 3.0 Bluetooth timers. If you have a heater equipped with one of these timers, you will have to disconnect the timer to allow the Webasto Thermotest software to communicate with the heater. Now let's see how the adjustment is made. Please consult the service manual for the model heater you are working on. After connecting the diagnostic adapter and the heater to the Webasto Thermotest software, start the calibration process using the shortcut icon. The heater will start and you will be instructed to wait for the heater to come up to temperature. When the heater has reached controlled operation, the adjustment window will be shown. Take note of the current CO2 adjustment value as well as the reading on your CO2 meter. If you need to get the heater back to this baseline, simply enter that value in the box and hit OK. Click the left or right arrows to adjust the CO2. Make small adjustments and allow the heater to stabilize for a few minutes before making another adjustment. When adjusting with the Thermotest software, the heater is running at full load. You'll use the specifications printed in the service manual. When the CO2 adjustment is complete, hit OK. We hope you found this video to be helpful, and we encourage you to watch it again and refer to the appropriate service manual as needed. If you ever need help or support with Webasto products, remember there are 3 ways to get help. You can go to our technical support website, www.techwebasto.com. You can email us by using the Contact Us feature on the website, or you can call our technical support folks at 1-800-860-7866 and follow the prompts to reach the team.